Is it going, everybody? I'm Gary from Movie Hooker, and welcome to another Movie Hooker video. And this time I want to focus on what I believe are the best South Korean action movies in existence. Now, I probably will miss some, and what the point I want to try and get across with this video is why I fell in love with Asian, not so much fell in love with Asian cinema, how I just will barely watch an American action movie. Like, you have these epic South Korean action films, and then you go and you watch like a new Mark Wahlberg action movie. Would you stop?
She killed everyone on my last job.
There's no comparison. So I do want to start off with a film called The Villainous, and the reason I'm starting off with that is that I have had a sort of like a burning rage of hatred for since I don't know when was it released. I'm not too sure, but I think it's John Wick 3, where everybody, you see, the problem with Asian cinema, just off topic here, the problem with Asian cinema is that it's subtitled, and if it's not subtitled, then it's dubbed, and if you watch it dubbed, then you're ruining the experience because the voice actors 90% of the time are not going to be as good as the original South Korean actors. So I always watch subtitles, and I would always recommend for anybody watching any subtitled movie, no matter what the language is to watch it in their native language. And people would say, like, oh, I don't want to read a book. Well, I don't read books. I don't read books, and I can still concentrate on a film. Plus, I've ADHD, and I can still concentrate on a film. But anyway, yes, the thing that really sort of pissed me off was when this John Wick movie was released. I think it's John Wick 3 Parabellum. Everybody kept going, have you seen the motorcycles? The motorcycle. Have you seen the motorcycle scene in John Wick? And like that makes me like face palm. I can't do it because I have glasses on, but that makes me do a face palm because that's not John Wick's scene. That is not his scene. That is not their scene. That scene is almost identically taken, not inspired by, because there's a fine line by inspired by and being ripped off, and I truly believe that this scene was completely ripped off. Now, the scene that I'm on about is the motorbike scene, the motorcycle scene in John Wick 3. So let's take a look before we get into what The Villainous is, what it's about, and why it is one of the best action movies ever made. So that was it. That was a side by side comparison of John Wick 3, Parabellum, and along with The Villainous. And I'm sure you will agree that that is just, the John Wick 3 obviously has a way bigger budget and can do things a lot shinier. Plus, once you have the blueprint of that action scene, up until The Villainous, there was nothing really created ever like that. I will get into what I think inspired that scene or inspired a lot of the way that The Villainous is shot. So, The Villainous is about a female assassin, and this female assassin has had enough of killing people and she wants out of the business, but it's not easy to get out of the business when you are the best in the business. So she is being hunted from every angle, and people are trying to kill her. And it's just the body count is absolutely huge. It starts off at 11, and it does not let up for the whole movie. Like, your jaw will be on the floor. The film does mix a lot with the style of filmmaking. For example, I think it is inspired by. Now, bear with me here. There was a music video years ago released called "Biting Elbows." Bad. I don't even think I can curse. Bad mother clucker. Let's just say, and that was some guy. It was like a POV shot music video where this guy was falling and he kept killing all these bad guys in office buildings. It was like the first of its kind. It went viral. And that director, hold on, I've got my phone here. That director went on then to sort of make a live action adaptation of that movie, of that music video, only with an original story, and that was called Hardcore Henry, which starred Charlton Copley. Hardcore Henry, Charlton Copley, and Tim Roth, and it was released in 2015. So I'd say Biting Elbows was a good few years before that. But yes, I'm not. I can't pronounce that name now. But that is the director. Is I think Ilya Naishuller. I think he is of Russian descent, but I cannot be 100%. Anyway, Hardcore Henry was absolutely epic as well, but the villainous does use that sort of POV film style, and it's just incredible. So yeah, that's enough about the villainous. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, the next movie that I want to talk about is from. I've got my phone here. I'm going to be a little bit more prepared. This is from 2022, so it's quite recent. And this is called Project Wolf Hunting. And this is. Now, if you don't like blood, you don't like guts, and you don't like gore, then give this one a miss because this is definitely one of the most insane and bloodiest action films ever put to screen. And yeah, it's the words can't describe it really. But what the film is about, it's about a load of cops who are transporting these very dangerous criminals. You've got like sex offenders, you've got serial killers, you've got crime bosses, and they're all getting transported on this big boat to another. I don't know, I think they're getting like transported from China to South Korea or South Korea to China. But it's this top secret mission. So you got all these criminals and then you got all these cops all on the boat. But what they all don't know is that below the deck of this boat there's like these super soldiers, let's just say in like hibernation, and they wake up, or he wakes up, or it's one, I can't really remember, I haven't seen it in a few years. And that's pretty much the whole entire storyline of Project Wolf Hunting. It is just cops versus criminals, criminals versus cops, and cops and criminals versus super soldiers. I sort of did describe it years ago like Under Siege meets Universal Soldier only on crack or something like that. It's just, if you do not like blood and you do not like guts, then give it a miss. And I love blood and guts in film. I love it because I am fascinated with the special effects department, as I am with all the departments in filmmaking. But I especially love uh, gore in films because it's not real. I'm not like sitting there watching like rotten.com or something, this is all just fake and it's make believe. And when the camera says, or when the director says cut, everybody's laughing and having a good day, drinking a cup of tea, or whatever they do. And yeah, so that is it in a nutshell. Let's just get away from that one. So that is Project Wolf Hunting. That is number two. Okay, so for number three, I have chosen another quite recent South Korean film as well. They're all South Korean. This is from 2020, and this one is called Deliver Us from Evil. And this is another like balls to the wall. You'll lose your breath. It's that action packed, and another fine example of why Asian action movies just completely wipe the floor with Western action films. So this one stars. Hold on, I got my phone here. This one stars Huang Jun-min as a hitman, and he is a hitman, and like most hitman movies, this hitman is looking to retire. But what happens is that he made a promise to someone who died, and that person who died just had their daughter kidnapped by organ harvesters. But before that, he goes to Japan and he messes up a job and he kills a very important crime figure in Japan. And it just so happens that that person that he killed has a really sadistic and mentally unwell brother who is a serial killer and takes great pride and pleasure in torturing folk. And he is played, believe it or not, by this. This is a very good example of how good of an actor this man is. The guy who plays the serial killer and the enemy, the villain in Deliver Us from Evil is Lee Jung Jae, who, if you do not know the name, he is player 456 from Squid Game. And he's fantastic. I remember reviewing this movie, and my written review, I think he's the only person that's really reminded me of like Kakihara from Ichi the Killer, and I have like a Kakihara. He's there somewhere on my wall. So I'm a big fan, and that's just the level of intensity and sadism that this guy has. So the hitman, he comes out of retirement. He goes to Thailand to take on these organ harvesters, but at the same time, he has a serial killer on his tail that's trying to get revenge for his brother. And yeah, it's just incredible. It's just another really action packed and hugely entertaining, very dark, gruesome, extremely well choreographed action movie. Okay, folks, so this is number 4, and this is going to be the last one on this list. I could make a part 3, I can make a part 2, I can make a part 3, 4, 5, and 6. But these videos are, I have a website to run, I've got social media channels to run, and this takes a lot of time to do. So I think that I will, because of everything that's so recent here that I've been talking about, I think for the last film in this video, the first part in my Korean action movie series, let's just call it, is going to be a film called Secretly Greatly. And this, I'm ashamed to say it, there actually is a television series as well, and something that I've been really looking forward to seeing, and I've never got round to it. The only thing I know is the movie, which I think is like based on a manga. And the movie, yes, 2013, and there was a TV show made in 2016. Oh my god, it's nearly 10 years old and I still haven't seen it. Oh, feel ashamed. So yes, Secretly Greatly is, I think, was one of my first introductions to like really action packed, that like an action movie rather than serial killers and dark and gruesome stuff. This is very much like a 15 certificate, and it's about, I can't, hold on, I'll go into the movie here and see. Okay, so it's three people who are trained from like birth, like they come out of their mommy and they are thrown into like training grounds to become elite assassins. And these guys are the best in the business, and they're absolute killing machines when they are teenagers. And again, this was another real eye opener for me, for it was like, look at the age of these guys and look at what they are doing on screen. It blew my mind back in 2013. So the story is, these guys are elite killers, absolute killing machines, and they are sent into South Korea from North Korea, and they have to take on a new identity, and they have to just they're like sleeper agents, is that what you call it? Where, they mingle, they basically become South Korean, and until they get orders from the north to carry out their mission, which they have no idea what it is. And I always find it really funny in like any South Korean film or TV show or anything, when they depict a North Korean person, they're always like horrendously scarred, and like their boss, like the general of the North Korean army or whatever, is like got these big, mean, ugly scars down his face. But these three teenagers, they take on these roles, and one of them pretends to be, let's just say, a mentally challenged. He's a guy with learning disabilities, and he helps this sweet old lady run a shop. And everybody thinks that he's basically the village idiot. And then once that shop closes and that old lady goes to bed, he's up in his little room and he's doing all these like muscle press ups, and he presses buttons on his wall and guns come out of his wall, and it's just incredible. He plays a guy with learning disabilities. There is a guy who's a wannabe rock star, and then there's a student, I think, who's like a very intelligent student. But every single one of these three people are absolute killing machines. And then they get the order, but by the time they get the order, they're actually used to the life that they're living. And that is pretty much the story of Secretly Greatly. Now, guys, there is absolutely so much more I could go into there. I feel ashamed. I'm going to be leaving it here for part one, because I already have part two sorted. So part two, I'm going to be like going into the witch. I'm going to be going into the man from nowhere, and I've got so much more great stuff coming. So I really hope that I've hooked you up here with something that you haven't seen today. And I hope that you come back and watch part two when I get it live. So thank you very much for watching, and subscribe for more South Korean content, Asian content, international content, horror, martial arts, everything. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.